All right, guys, welcome to Problem Set 120 Part 2. You should remember from last week we have these age problems. We're going to have two different time periods. We're going to get two equations, then we're going to substitute to solve. So let's read our prompt and then come up with our two equations. 30 years ago, Barbie was 1 year older than twice Mary's age then. 20 years ago, Mary was 4/5 as old as Barbie was then. How old is each woman now? Because we're trying to come up with a woman's age currently, we're going to put each equation in terms of their current age. So Barbie's age now is B, but Barbie age 30 years ago is B minus 30. So we're going to frame our first equation in terms of a minus 30 like that. So 30 years ago, Barbie's age was, we put our equal sign, 1 year older, I've got a little +1 over here, then twice Mary's age, 2 times, and then Mary's age then was M minus 30. Now we're going to come up with our second equation. 20 years ago, Mary was, so Mary's age 20 years ago was M minus 20, and then we put our equal sign. 4/5 as old as, so 4/5 times Barbie's age then. So I have B minus 20. Remember, each time period in an equation is the same time period. That's going to be a big common mistake, so make sure you guys watch out for that. Now what we're going to do is simplify our equations and then solve them. So I'm going to distribute first on my first equation, and then I'm going to simplify. So I have B minus 30 equals 2M minus 60 plus 1. Now I'm going to move my 30 over and then add my 1, and I'm going to get B equals 2M minus 29. Now what I'm going to do is simplify the second equation. So I've got M minus 20 equals 4/5 B minus 16. That's because I canceled out my 20 with my 5, you get a 4. 4 times negative 4 gives me negative 16. Now I'm going to move my 20 over. So I get M equals 4/5 B plus 4. Now that I have my two equations, I'm going to substitute my second equation into my first and then start to simplify. So I get B equals 2 times 4/5 B plus 4 minus 29. Now when I distribute, I'm going to get 8/5 B plus 8 minus 29. 8 minus 29 is going to give me negative 21. So I have B equals 8/5 B minus 21. And I'm going to move my B over. So if I write this first B in terms of fifths, it's going to be 5/5. So 5/5 minus 8/5 gives me a negative 3/5. So negative 3/5 B equals negative 21. My negatives are going to cancel each other out on both sides. Now I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal to cancel out my coefficient to isolate B. So I'm going to multiply by 5/3. 21 divided by 3 is 7, and 7 times 5 gives me 35. So I've just solved B equals 35. But I'm not quite done. I need to find Mary's age. So what I'm going to do is just plug it back in there. 35 divided by 5 gives me 7. 7 times 4 is 28. And then 28 plus 4 gives me 32. And now we've just solved for Mary's age. So what we're going to do is move on to our next problem. And I'm going to let you guys solve that all on your own. Okay, well, let's read our prompt together. A man is 18 times as old as his son. Be careful, this first sentence is in current time, so we're not dealing with any previous time period. Okay, in 15 years, he will be 3 times as old as his son will be then. How old are they now? I'm gonna give you guys 90 seconds. Set up your equations and then solve, and then unpause your video to see your solution. Okay, let's come up with our first equation. A man is 18 times as old as his son. M equals 18 times S. Now in 15 years, we're going to say M plus 15. The man will be, so equals 3 times as old as the son will be then. 3 times S plus 15. Now we're just going to simplify and solve. Let's simplify the second equation because our top equation is already pretty simple. So the second equation is going to become M plus 15 equals 3S plus 45. Apologize that my S's look so similar to my 5s. Okay, now I'm going to subtract 15 on both sides, so I get M equals 3S plus 30. Now what we're going to do is substitute in for our M. So I have 18S equals 3S plus 30. Subtract my 3S on both sides. Now we'll get 15S equals 30. And solving gives me S equals 2. Now what we're going to do is just plug that back into our first equation and simplify. That will give me M equals 36. So really nice job for those of you who got it right. If you're still struggling, let's go on to our next problem. And read our prompt. 20 years ago, Lucy was 2 years older than twice Myrna's age then. 6 years ago, Myrna was 3/4 as old as Lucy was then. How old is each person now? And again, I'm going to give you guys 90 seconds to solve this. Unpause your video to see your solution. Okay, 20 years ago, Lucy. So I have L minus 20 was 2 years older. So I'm going to do a plus 2, then twice Myrna's age then. 2 times M minus 20. Now for my second equation, 6 years ago, and we're dealing with Myrna. So Myrna's age 6 years ago is M minus 6, and then she was 3/4 as old as Lucy was then, L minus 6. And again, we're just going to simplify our equations and then substitute to solve. I'm going to tackle my first equation by distributing first. L minus 20 equals 2M minus 40 plus 2. Now I'm going to add 20 to both sides and then add 2. So I'm going to get L equals 2M minus 18. And on my second equation, I'm going to do the same thing. M minus 6 equals 3/4 L. And I can cancel out a 2 here. So I'm going to have 3 times 3. So I'm going to have negative 9 halves there. And I'm going to add my 6. In terms of halves, this is going to be 12 halves. So I'm going to say M equals 3/4 L. And when I add 12 halves minus 9 halves, I will get plus 3 halves. Now what we're going to do is substitute this into that equation. So I'm going to say L equals 2 times 3/4 L plus 3 halves minus 18. Now here I'm going to cancel out my 2, so I'm going to get 3 halves, and then I'm going to cancel out my 2 there just to get 3. So I'm going to say L equals 3 halves L plus 3 minus 18. I'm going to combine these to get a negative 15 on that side, and I'm going to move my 3 halves L to the left-hand side by subtracting on both sides. And if I were to get a common denominator, this would be 2 halves. So 2 halves minus 3 halves will give me a negative 1/2 L. I'm going to multiply both sides by a negative 2 to get L equals 30. We're almost done. What we're going to do is plug this into one of our equations to simplify, and the easiest one here is going to be this one. So 30 times 2 is 60, and 60 minus 18 will give me, sorry, that's the wrong equation. Let's plug it into the right equation. Let's plug it into to solve for M right here. So if I plug it in there, I'm going to have M equals 3/4 times 30 plus 3 halves. Now let's cancel out both of these, share a 2. It can't quite go evenly, so that's going to be 15 halves. So 3 times 15 is going to give me 45 halves plus 3 halves, which total is going to give me 48 halves. And 48 divided by 2 is going to give me 24 for Myrna's age. So L is 30, M is 24. Nice job for those of you who got it right. Please come see me in my live hours if you have any questions. And as always, good luck with your homework, guys.